Hi guys, we're back with Sidney Heard. For those of you that have been asking how I got started into true crime, my first true crime book was the biography of an ex-gangster from Chicago named Sidney Heard, and he's with us here today. We are discussing just some of his crazy adventures in his life and things that you can read in his book. But we came across some documentation that is very rare because you literally cannot get this anymore. We're going to, I'll throw it up there real quick. Hi, Sidney, welcome. Can
Hi,
you
how are
tell
you?
the viewers what I'm looking at here? What is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-page document from the FBI? What is it?
What it was a long time ago, you couldn't get your documents on your case because it was a juvenile record.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the first juvenile record they expunged was when I was 13 years old. I was arrested for breaking into the school.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was they sent me to downtown in Chicago, because I was in Cook County, to the Audi home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, normally everybody that went to the Audi home went to St. Charles, the reformatory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I only spent 3 days in there and got out, and there was no bonds for juveniles, but I got out. I remember when I got there, my father was there. There was another guy there who I don't even know who he was, and then Reverend Swasco.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him with his collar and all that. He was the pastor of the Lutheran church. Later on in life, I find out that my grandma told me that my mother had took my dad's blanket and pillow and put them on the couch and said he was going to sleep there until he got me out of jail. So I think that's how I got out of jail in 3 days. That was, and I got probation, 6 months probation for breaking into the school. The only thing I stole was the milk money, in all the rooms. That was. I don't even think it was over $30, $40, and we paid restitution. But what is ironic about it, my probation officer, who was in North Lake, Illinois, later ended up killing a guy in a bar fight. And because he was probation officer, he went to jail, and they didn't have no more probation officers. So I never really did no probation because my probation officer got killed. And, so that was ironic in a way. But my first thing shows that I ran away from home and stole a car in Iowa. Got caught in Des Moines, Iowa, sleeping in the car behind a gas station.
Uh-huh.
Spent about 30 days in jail. And then that's the first one that shows on my FBI thing. Is actually the charge was transportation of stolen motor vehicle, but they couldn't prove I took it out of state, so they charged me with no license or something stupid.
Yes, it says operating with no license.
Yeah.
So and that was when you were 15. And then I see one when you were 16, it says accessory to rob, accessory before and after the fact.
Right.
What is that?
Yeah, I worked in a gas station. I had two friends of mine come and rob me. So that's why I was accessory before and after the fact. They tied me up, took all the money, and took a bunch of oil and tires and stuff. And, and I got a year's probation for that.
Now I know from writing your book that there's a lot more than what's on here, but there's a lot of B&E, breaking and entering. But on let's see, February of 1961, which is actually well, let's go back. Let's go back.
Inverness, Florida.
Yes, that's when you were caught. You actually escaped from jail June 20th, 1960.
Right.
That is where our book starts. You are in jail. You're breaking out of Wheaton County Jail, and this is actually your second round at it because the first time you took a couple people and it was a failed attempt. So this time you ended up taking someone, and you ended up getting shoot to kill orders on you. Tell us about that. How did that come about?
Which one is this now?
When you broke out of Wheaton successfully, and you ended up
when I broke out of Wheaton, went with Jimmy Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and him and me, we left the jail. We broke into a house. There's over 500 some odd dollars, got a shotgun and a pistol. And then we started going down the train tracks, and that's an ironic story, was one of them old time carts that you pick up and put it on a train and pump it up and down. But people don't believe that, but we actually did that.
Yeah.
And we went into Wheeling, Illinois. And I waited until about 10 o'clock, and I knew where the lumber company was there. And it was easy to get into the lumber company. And they had a truckload of lumber with the keys in it. So we stole that truck. And that way I had it unhooked in case the police came behind. All I'd have to do was lift the back up and dump the lumber all over the road. So, and I took Jimmy Woods with me because he was crazy, totally insane. And I figured if the police come, I'd put him on front with the shotgun and I'd make my escape wherever we were behind him.
Right.
And that was my thinking of him.
Right.
And then we ran out of, actually we took a Greyhound bus to St. Louis, and then I didn't like St. Louis. So then we went to Amarillo, Texas, believe it or not, before later I moved there and spent the night there. And then we went out to California. And then later him and me got split up in he went to I applied for Social Security card for ID, but not Social Security, draft card.
A draft card.
And he went back and ended up sticking up the place. And then come running behind me, fired a couple shots in the air, and this was in El Reno, Nevada, and fired a couple shots in the air, and then came by me and changed clothes. I was sitting in the park, left the gun with me, and took off. Said he'd meet me in California, but I split up with him because he was too crazy.
Yeah. And you didn't realize that you had shoot to kill orders on your head until all these years later when I found the newspaper article, did you?
Yeah, I never realized that until you found it out. Said, what did it say? Shoot on sight?
Shoot to kill. Shoot on sight. Yep.
The big huge.
I have the newspaper article. I'll take a picture of it and put it on this video so you guys can see it. But yeah, big bold across the top, shoot to kill orders issued. And so that was insane. Now I look here and it gives more dates on this, and you escaped on June 20th, 1960. You were arrested in Rayford, Florida, which we talk about how that happened, but you weren't arrested again until February 3rd of 1961. And so that actually made it to where you were on the run for a year and 8 months before you were caught. And of course, people can look into the book and find out you wouldn't have probably been caught then if it hadn't been for the associations you had been keeping. So you kind of got in with a crowd that ended up getting you caught as well. Okay, so let's go on down through this. By the time you're in Florida, tell people what happened to you in Florida. Now we go into detail in Florida how things were different back then. You were beaten, you were chased by dogs, you were there was a lot of animosity towards whites, northerners. Tell us what happened there when you got there and what the judge said.
The people I got arrested with Lane, Eugene Blanton, and Jacqueline Ann Command, and they had stole a car in Ohio, and they picked me up hitchhiking in Florida. I would have never rode with them if I'd known it was a stolen car, because I know they're going to have a bulletin out for it. But we robbed a convenience store in Inverness, Florida, and then later when they found out I was under the name there of Miles Kenneth Leathergood out of Sheridan, Arkansas, because that was some stolen ID I got in California out of a guy swimming, stole his wallet. So that's who they thought I was. And they indicted me under Miles Kenneth Leathergood until later they found out I was Sidney James Heard. But what happened was when I was there, the judge said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with you, son. He said, he talked so nice. I never found out till later the guy we robbed was his nephew. Oh. But anyways, he said, the judge, why don't you just plead guilty now? He said, and I'll send you back to Illinois where you escaped from. So I said, okay, I plead guilty. He said, 25 years hard labor, get that SOB out of my courtroom. That made me so mad, that he tricked me. So the next day they took us to Biography, Florida, where we were wanted for burglary. Well, that night we escaped out of that jail. And I got caught. That's when I got caught, and it's in the book about how the dogs caught me in Alabama. And extradition with the back of a pickup truck with petting the dogs and bleeding after they beat me up a bunch. And dogs started licking my blood. And then I got kicked upside the head. That dog too good to be licking your blood, boy. And then when they brought me back to the jail, it was all farmers lined up. And they had picnic tables out there, and they all had shotguns. And I always remember one of them said, "Boy, I wish I'd have caught you. We get you 50 alive, 100 dead, boy. Guess how we would have brought you back." Well, I don't know if he was lying or what, but it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, because you're still a teenager at this time, right?
Yeah. And then the sheriff, they kept me in the hole like a metal tank. There was a drunk tank. It was all metal. I know I asked 2 days or a day or so later, they said, "You want anything?" They were talking on top of a screen. And I said, "Yeah, how about some water?" "Well, yeah, we'll give you some water." Boy, they turned the fire hose on me. And one thing you never want's a fire hose turned on you. But I got my water anyways, I guess. But the sheriff, he was pretty nice. Next day, he let me sitting there. He was drinking a beer, eating a big old steak, and sitting in front of his desk, said, "Boy, I don't appreciate you escaping out of my jail. I'm going to tell you right now, you escape out of my jail again, I'm going to kill you. You understand that?" I understood that very, very easily in Florida at a young age, that they will kill you down there.
Yeah.
And he even went to court and got me my burglary to run concurrently with my 25 years, and they only tacked 3 years on my sentence for escaping out of his jail. So that's how I ended up there and then going to the penitentiary in Florida.
So
I think then later in Florida,
yeah, as long as you didn't try to escape and make him look bad, he was nice, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was real nice.
Oh.
His name was Cletus Andrew. He lived where Bonifay, Florida is 12 miles from the Alabama state line. He owned a big ranch, and he had trustees that were sentenced like to 20, 25 years, but they stayed in the jail and worked out on his ranch and everything. You know, back in them days, it was kind of how they did it back in the southern ways.
Yeah.
And if you were black and got sentenced to prison, you usually stayed in the county jail working for the sheriff.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, so that is just one tale, and honestly, the story you told just basically gets us into chapter 2 of the book.
Right.
So, but this is an FBI record that literally it only goes until it's 5 pages, and it only goes until your time in into Marion, and
yeah, see, what they did was, back in them days, I went to Lewisburg Penitentiary, which my number there is 33196 in 67. And like I said, mine 33196, Mr. Hoffa, Jimmy Hoffa, of course, was 33296. He came there in February of 67. And then they got transferred me to Atlanta. A lot of that about Mr. Hoffa is in our book.
Right.
And then I went to Atlanta, and they gave me another number. It said 90441.
Right.
And then from there, I went to Marion, where my number was 1794.
Right.
And that's where I was released and paroled in 1971 back to Florida. What my lawyer had told me back in them days, I had hustled up money in prison, had a lawyer that don't beat my cases in Florida, because that way I'll get paroled as soon as I do my sentence, 1/3 of my sentence in the federal prison, which I did. You know, I did 5 years and got out on a 15-year sentence. So when I went back to Florida, I automatically was going to have my cases overturned, because I didn't have no attorney back in them days under the writ that I wrote back in 1963, which, you know, all that's in the book.
Right. We're going to do a video all about that one, because that one's a big one. So, but I think this is pretty interesting, because this is a I'm trying to count up here. You would have been 21, let's see, born in 1942. You would have been 21 and 63. So 1, 2, two of these pages wouldn't even exist anymore if you had done this nowadays. Because they're all, before you turn 21. And then, of course, our book highlights so much about what you've done afterwards, that, I always said when I was writing the book, I came across, that was when the Catch Me If You Can video and book came out, and with Frank Abagnale. And I tell people, when I was reading that biography, I didn't even finish it. I said I found myself getting bored, because with Frank Abagnale, he did one thing over and over and over again. He conned his way into becoming, stealing different identities and doing things he shouldn't be doing. But you were a con man that really did a little bit of everything short of murder. Let's do a quick rundown of just some of the things you did. I mean, you were a professional arsonist, you were an insurance scammer, you ran stolen Cadillacs, you ran drugs, you bank robbery, you counterfeited gold coins from Africa. You were an escape artist because you escaped prison several times. What am I missing? I'm missing a few things. But that's one of the things you did a little bit of everything, not just the con games of stealing identities. So I find this is,
Well, I tried to be versatile.
you definitely
To
were.
me is, you get a label like you're a bank robber. That's what they label you as, a bank
Right.
robber. You get a label as a professional arsonist. That's what they give you.
Right.
You're a drug dealer. That's what they gave you. So I tried to cover all the bases. I guess that sounds idiotic, but that's what I did before I was 50. I tried to do a versatile of different things and different cons, and the whole thing was about taking banks and insurance companies and financial institutions for money, not personal people.
Right.
That was always my goal,
Yeah.
and I never was interested in taking money from a person and stealing their money, or
Right.
if I pulled a burglary, it'd be something that where insurance would cover it or anything
Right.
like that.
Right. Okay, well, we are going to do lots more of these videos. I'm enjoying it. I think you're enjoying it, and I'm sure our viewers will enjoy it too.
I hope so.
We'll see you next time, and you guys make sure and
Don't
check out
forget
our
what the book is. Unorganized Crime.
Unorganized Crime.
If I'd have been organized, I wouldn't have done 22 years in and out of prison.
Right. If you'd have been organized, you wouldn't have been caught. So,
right.
Okay, well, we'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bones Coffee Company. You can forget about boring coffee when you drink Bones Coffee. Not only do they offer a variety of flavors such as strawberry cheesecake and maple bacon, they are a family-owned company that puts great detail not only in their coffee, but in the artwork that comes on each individual bag. Bones Coffee has a coffee club that will deliver your favorite coffee to your door every month. If that wasn't enough, they also have some amazing swag to offer. Check out Bones Coffee Company today. I'll have my affiliate links in the show notes for you.
All right. Well, we will see you next week.
All right, then. You have a blessed week. May the
You
Lord
too.
bless you.